Well, no, maybe I'll ask you this question. Rather than Tesla, I'm going to ask you this question, which is from me, not the audience. What exactly are you doing here? You know, this is an oil and gas conference. Why are you here?
Well, Norway's been very supportive of electric vehicles, and so I'm here in gratitude and appreciation for what Norway's done for electric vehicles.
Okay, so it's thank you to Norway, I think, from
exactly.
Elon Musk.
Thank you to Norway.
Biggest market, I understand.
It's third, actually, at this point.
Okay. Ooh, someone else snuck in there.
China.
All right, okay. Is it the government support, putting in all those power stations? What is it?
I think it's a number of factors. Certainly, Norway has a lot of incentives for electric vehicles, which are great. But it's worth noting that, say, Denmark also has very strong incentives for electric vehicles, but our sales are much greater in Norway than in Denmark. And I think in Norway there's a core group of electric vehicle enthusiasts who have really taken it upon themselves to promote electric vehicles and have done an amazing job. And as a result, that has made Tesla sales in Norway really great.
I understand there's one gentleman who owns more EVs than any of your customers around the world. He's based somewhere in Norway, yes?
Yes, he's in Narvik.
He's in Narvik?
Yeah.
Okay, and how many does he own? Do you remember?
That's above the Arctic Circle, by the way. And I believe he owns, I don't know, 12 or maybe 14 now. He's a very nice guy.
From the audience, which is, when is your next mass market car going to be ready? Because your current one is roughly what in price?
Well, our current one is, in US dollars, it's about $70,000. So it is a premium car. And then we're coming out with an SUV version called the X. That's coming out next year. But also that's on the same platform, so it's about the same cost. The car that we're really looking forward to bringing to market is called the Model 3. And that's intended to be a mass-market, long-range electric vehicle. It's the car that I wanted to bring out from the very beginning, but it just takes a bit of time to iterate the technology and complete.
How long? Because I think the launch date has been pushed back and back a bit, eh?
Well, we're hoping for about 2.5 to 3 years. Contingent upon that is completion of this very big battery factory called the Gigafactory that we're building.
So tell us about
the lithium-ion battery capacity of the world, in terms of production capacity, is really not big enough yet. Nor does it make the most advanced type of batteries that we really need for long-range electric cars. So in order to solve that problem, we found there was really no choice but to build a really enormous factory called the Gigafactory. So named because we're targeting about 50 gigawatt hours of output, which for battery energy storage is quite a big number.
It's huge, yeah. And it sounds cool as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So are there any links, do you think, between the battery technology that you're investing in at the moment and renewables?
Correct.
Okay.
In fact,
tell us a bit more about that.
Sure. So about a third of the output of the Gigafactory is intended as stationary storage, primarily to be paired with renewables, but also to do grid buffering in non-renewable situations, so that you can operate the plants, even if it's a hydrocarbon energy plant, you can operate it close to its optimum and avoid having to sort of peak. So I think we'll see really a very huge demand for stationary storage. And this is really going to help out some of the more intermittent sources like wind and solar. It's worth noting, I'm not sure if people are aware of this, but the world could be powered many times over by solar if you had enough battery capacity to pair with it.
California, where you're based, but in Europe? Can you really say that, in Europe?
1,000. It's literally true. The amount of energy that reaches the Earth from the sun is staggeringly high. We have this enormous fusion generator in the sky that is lobbing out vast amounts of energy. And I'm talking about just using land area. I mean, it's really amazing. In fact, here's a little tidbit. If you take a nuclear plant and you took its current output and compared that to just taking solar panels and putting solar panels on the area used by the nuclear power plant, because these typically have a big keep-out zone. of about maybe 5 kilometers in kind of dense office or housing space. Usually people don't want to do that near a nuclear power plant. So there's quite a big keep-out zone. And when you factor the keep-out zone into account, the solar panels put on that area would typically generate more power than the nuclear power plant.
Yes? So here's a question from the audience, then.
If I might sort of just do just a tidbit of math. The
Collective maths? 900 people? Mental
tidbit.
maths?
1 square kilometer is 1 million square meters.
Uh-huh.
And there's 1 kilowatt per square meter of solar energy. So on 1 square kilometer, there is a gigawatt of solar energy.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
With you so far. With you so far.
So, I mean, if you wanted, I mean, you can get.
And ergo, the nuclear power station doesn't give you the same. Is that the calculation?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Okay, so here,
yes, but like you could power the entire United States with about, let's say, 150 to 200 square kilometers of solar panels. The entire United States. Take a corner of Utah. Not much going on there. I've been there. There's not even radio stations, okay?
So the question from the audience then is, seeing that your big thrust into Tesla cars, which has taken off 10 years in, your big ambitions for solar power, what kind of a threat do you think you are to the oil and gas industry?
Well, I don't think we're much of a threat. I mean, yet. Yet. I mean, the more obvious threat is that we're going to run out of hydrocarbons to mine and burn. That's rather obvious. I mean, it's not. It's
no time soon, judging from the comments we've had this morning.
Well, it depends on what soon means. I mean, it's clearly getting harder and harder. My understanding is that the cost of extraction is doubled and in some cases tripled. So it's getting harder and harder to find hydrocarbons, and it's getting much more expensive to extract them. And really, we're just arguing about the when hydrocarbons run out or become prohibitively expensive, not if. I mean, I don't think there's anyone here who would say it's an if, not a when. They will run out, for sure. So what will...
So you don't think, I mean, you are, a tech guy, right? You're a physicist and an engineer. You call yourself the chief architect of companies.
I tend to view things from
You don't
sort of
think
a
that
physics
human
standpoint.
ingenuity and technology and resourcefulness will mean that we will still have abundant fossil fuels available?
Not.
I mean, this has been going on for some time. They think you've reached the boundaries, and yet they find more. And look at the whole shale gas revolution. That was stuff that people said would never be able to be extracted.
There are time extensions on the game, but the game is going to come to an end. That should be absolutely certain, obviously, frankly. But I mean, to be in non-renewables, and it's tautological, either it's renewable or it's not renewable. So if you're in non-renewables, it's like you're stuck in a room where the oxygen is gradually depleting. And then outside, it's not. So you want to get out that room. And I think the ones that get out of the room sooner will be better off. I mean, if you look,
is that where the mission to Mars comes in?
No.
Isn't there an inherent contradiction then here in your project?
No, there isn't. I don't have any fundamental dislike of hydrocarbons. I simply look at the future and say, what is the thing that will actually work? And using a non-renewable resource, obviously, will not work. So we must find an alternative. But if there was a button I could press to stop all hydrocarbon usage today, I would not press it.
You would not press it?
Of course not.
Okay. Did you expect him to say that? You would not press it
would
because...
cause human civilization to come to a halt.
Every hospital would have to close down.
That would be ridiculous. So it would be irresponsible to press that button. But what does need to happen is to, if we can, accelerate the transition towards renewables. That's the sensible thing to do. If you take, I'm going to use maybe two examples, Saudi Arabia, since the Saudi Aramco president spoke here. Saudi Arabia has an enormous amount of sunlight. And that will be there for billions of years, or at least 1 billion years until the sun eventually engulfs us. But a billion years, solid. You've got a solid billion years there. So it seems that investing in the solar resource is the thing that's really going to preserve the long-term future, not so much the oil and gas. I mean, that's a temporary thing. In the future, we'll look back, and by future, I'm not talking about super far in the future, I'm talking about towards the end of the century. We will look back on gasoline-powered cars the same way we look back on coal, as sort of a quaint anachronism that's in a museum. But it's true.
I think there are some business models that we could perhaps all learn from. And I've been trying to do some boning up, thinking, what is it that you're about is patents, as you call them.
Yeah.
Now, a few months ago, you decided to open them up, make them open source
Right.
for some key areas of Tesla car development. What is the thinking behind
all of our patents.
Oh, all of them, okay.
Yes.
What is the thinking behind them? And is that and just junk the patents?
Yeah, I think patents I don't like patents personally. When I was first starting out developing technology, I got lots of patents and I thought this was a good thing. And then I sort of discovered that a patent was really like buying a lottery ticket to a lawsuit. And I was like, I'd rather not buy those tickets. You look at sort of the battle between Apple and Samsung, and who's really winning there? The lawyers are winning certainly, but neither of those two companies. And in the case of Tesla, I thought, well, would Tesla ever sue some other car company if they were using our patents to try to make them stop making electric cars? We would never do such a thing. So why pretend that we would?
Recognizing that internally as a de facto position. You're saying to the world, here, have them, go for it.
Yeah.
Yes, which is a different thing. That's going one stage further.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's not just because you think we're never going to sue them. It's presumably because you think there is some business advantage to it.
No,
right?
I really don't.
No?
No. Maybe it will somehow turn out to be good. I don't know.
But you boost the market. There's more investment
I think,
in charging stations. Everybody
Great.
benefits.
Great. I hope there
rising
is.
tide lifts all the boats. It's that argument,
I
isn't
hope
it?
there is. That'd be nice. We're not really trying to get relative advantage, but maybe it can help lift the industry as a whole. And I think it generated some goodwill, and I think maybe that goodwill is helpful. You never know whether it pays off.
Okay. So there's